Good morning, dear children. So, today let us study Science 2 lesson number 7, Energy Flow in an Ecosystem. So, in this chapter, we are going to study the concept of food chain and food web, the energy pyramid, biogeochemical cycle, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen cycles, and also the concept map. So now let us open page number 81 of your textbook and let us see what's given there. So looking back means what you have studied in the previous class. So the first question is, what is meant by ecosystem? So you must be remembering it, the biotic and the abiotic factors and their mutual interactions form an ecosystem. Question number 2, which are the different types of ecosystems? So we have two types of ecosystems, the aquatic and the terrestrial ecosystems. Now, question number 3, how do interactions take place between biotic and abiotic factors of an ecosystem? So, every living organism requires specific abiotic factors for its survival. The type of soil, quality of light, temperature, humidity, etc. are some of the abiotic factors that affect the biotic factors. Living organisms, biotic factors constantly interact with abiotic factors. They affect the quality of abiotic factors surrounding them. This indirectly affects the quality of other biotic factors sharing the same ecosystem. I would like to add here, now we all are staying at home, locked down due to COVID-19. Since there were no vehicles on the road, the air was pure, less air pollution. The plants were very green. This is because we were all at home. Hence, the air has, we are interacting with the nature. The plants are more greener. The animals have come down to the streets and they moved from the jungles since they saw that no human beings were out. So in this way, the biotic and the abiotic factors interact with each other in an ecosystem. Now, let us study the concept of energy flow in an ecosystem. We have already learned the classification of living organisms according to the mode of nutrition into producers, consumers, saprotrophs, that is saprophytes, and decomposers. Consider the various trophic levels of the ecosystem around you as given below. Primary consumers, herbivores, for example, the grasshopper, the squirrel, the elephant, etc. They are directly dependent on the autotrophs, that is producers. Those are plants. Secondary consumers, carnivores, example frog, owl, fox, etc. These consumers use herbivores as their food. Apex or top consumers, that is the carnivores, tiger, lion, etc. These consumers use herbivores and carnivores as their food. No other animals feed on the top consumers. Omnivores or mixed consumers, human beings, bear, etc. feed on herbivores and carnivores. So these are the different types of animals classified as primary, secondary, apex or omnivores. Now let us go to the food chain and the food web. Let us observe this figure and explain the relationship between the components. So here you can see the grass are known as producers, that is they are autotrophs. Then the grasshopper is a primary consumer since it eats the grass. Then the grasshopper is eaten by the frog, which is a secondary consumer. The frog is eaten by the snake, which is a tertiary consumer. The snake is eaten by the vulture, which is the apex or the top consumer. These vultures, after they die, their body is being decomposed by the decomposers. So in this way, there is a relationship between the various components. Now, like this, you have to construct 4 chains as one shown in this figure. Interactions go on continuously between producers, consumers and saprophytes. There is a definite sequence in these interactions which is called as the food chain. So please mark this definition of food chain. Now, each chain consists of 4, 5 or more links. An ecosystem consists of many food chains that are interconnected at various levels. Thus, a food web is formed. So, mark the definition of the food web here. Okay. So, here we have studied the concept of food chain and food web. Now, use your brain power. Here, explain the food chains of various ecosystems which you have studied last year. So, you recollect what you have done last year, and accordingly you will draw or write about the various food chains. Now next, in this picture you can see extra information I have given here, which you will read and try to understand it. Now let us go to the next slide. In this slide you can see the food chain. Again I'll tell you the definition also. The energy flow among the various constituent animals is known as the food chain, and the length of the food chain depends upon the number of organisms. A food chain represents the relationship between the organisms. Now in this picture you can see the different types of animals over here, the primary, the secondary, the tertiary consumers and human beings. So it depends on how many creatures are there in it. Now let us see what is a food web. A food web or food cycle is the connection between the different food chains and represents what species eats what is in its ecological system. A food web starts with the producers in an ecosystem and then branches off into interconnected food chains that are shown who eats whom in an ecosystem. So in this picture you can see the arrows pointing out to different animals. So who is eating whom? So in this way the food web is an intricate or a complex food web which contains many food chains. Okay, now let us go to page number 82. An organism may be a prey for many other organisms. For example, an insect feeds upon leaves of various plants, but the same insect is a prey for different animals like the frog, wall lizard, birds, etc. If this is to be shown in the figure, it will form an intricate web instead of a linear food chain. Linear means a straight food chain. Intricate means difficult, complicated. So such an intricate network is called as a web. You all have seen the spider's web, how it is complicated and difficult. So here also this is a food web. Generally food webs are found everywhere in nature. Now use your brain power. Make a list of the various consumers of the ecosystems around you and classify them according to the mode of nutrition. Now let me tell you here the list of consumers. For example, say rabbit. So rabbit is a herbivore. Dog is a carnivore. Squirrel is a herbivore. So like this you will make a list of different types of animals or consumers around you and classify them according to the mode of nutrition. Now this picture 7.2 shows various living organisms. We have to construct a food web from those pictures. So in the previous slide, I have shown you how the food web is constructed. Similarly, you will also draw arrows and connect them and find out the food chains and form a food web. Now let us go to the questions given here as to is the number of consumers in a food web fixed. So what can you say about it? Yes. So here the number of consumers is not fixed in the food web. It goes on changing due to complex interactions. The consumers too keep on changing in any natural food web. Next, second question. What will be the effect of an ecosystem if only one type of organism in it forms the food for several different consumers in that ecosystem? So here, if only one type of organism in an ecosystem forms the food for several different consumers, then there would be shortage of food. As per the principle of survival of fittest, only those who could grab the food will remain alive. If the food required by many consumers is finished, then the number of consumers will also fall down due to starvation. All this will result in an imbalance in an ecosystem. Let me give an example. Now, due to the lockdown, due to COVID, what happened? Many people store lots of food grains in their house and there was a severe shortage of food. So, there was an imbalance. Same way, imbalance also occurs in nature if there is only one type of food chain. Now, question number 3. Why is balance or equilibrium necessary in the food web? If there is no equilibrium in a food web, then the interactions within and among the different trophic levels of an ecosystem will not take place. If the number of producers are less than the number of consumers, it will result into drought-like situation. Drought means famine-like situation. If the apex consumers or the top consumers like tigers are killed due to hunting and poaching, the secondary consumers like the deer would increase in numbers. Their population will remain uncontrolled, resulting into overgrazing and total destruction of the grasslands. Such consequences means effects are harmful for any ecosystem. Therefore, the equilibrium is needed in the food web. Now, make some interesting observations while having a meal at home. Identify the trophic levels of the various food items in your dish. Identify your own level in the chain. So let me give you an example. For example, you are eating vegetables. So these vegetables, that means they are plants. So they are the producers. Their trophic level is producers. Suppose you are having chicken, non-veg. So it belongs to chicken, eats grains. So it's an herbivore, you can say. Yes, and man, that is we, are omnivores. We eat both veg and non-veg. Okay, so this way you will classify depending upon the food you have in your dish. Now, let us go to the concept of energy pyramid. Now, what is an energy pyramid? Now, each level in the food chain is called as a trophic level. So, this is the definition of trophic level. Underline it or mark it. The trophic level is a step at which the organism obtains its food in the chain. The amount of matter and energy gradually decreases from the producers at the lowest level to the top consumers at the highest level. So let us look at the pyramid here. So in this pyramid, you can see the base is big. So all the producers in the ecosystem, that is the plants, are placed here. Next level, that is the first trophic level, are the herbivores. The next trophic level are the carnivores, and the third trophic level is the omnivores or are the omnivores. Okay, so in this way, this is the pyramid for trophic levels. Now let us introduce to the scientist. So Lindemann in 1942 studied the food chain and the energy flow through it. Charles Elton, a British scientist, first proposed the concept of ecological pyramid in 1927 after his study of the tundra ecosystem of the Bear Islands in England. Hence, this pyramid is also called as the Eltonian pyramid. Okay, now let us go to the another pyramid which is shown in the slide here. Okay, here. So in this figure you can see it's a pyramid of biomass. So at the base we have the autotrophs. Then next level are the herbivores. Third level are the primary carnivores. Fourth level secondary carnivores. And the apex are the tertiary carnivores. Okay, it is similar to the one which is shown in figure 7.3. Now let us go to the next slide or page number 83 of your textbook. Now let us see what is given here. Think about it. What happens? What happens to the energy during its transfer from the producers to the apex consumers? Does it remain trapped in the apex consumers or does it remain in the body of the apex consumer till its death? So let's see. So when this energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next in the ecosystem, some of it is converted into heat and is lost to the environment. When the apex consumer dies, the elements in its body are released back into the nature by the decomposing bacteria. The energy trapped in its body is utilized by the decomposers such as fungi and bacteria. The decomposers convert organic compounds back into simple carbon compounds. These compounds easily mix with the environment such as the air, water or soil. Thus, though the consumer has enough energy during its lifetime for performing all the functions, it does not remain trapped in the apex consumers. Okay, now let us see here. The question is, using a brain power, what would happen if the energy remains trapped in the body of the apex consumers even after its death? What will happen if there were no decomposers like the microbes and the fungi in nature? Now, the energy does not remain trapped in the body of any consumer. It keeps on circulating in the cyclical manner. If none of the decomposers like microbes and fungi exist on the earth, lots of problems will occur. For example, how the substances will decompose. So they will not get degraded and they will remain without any change. Then the mineral cycles. The minerals and the compounds in the excretory matter of animals and the dead remains of the plants and animals will be trapped inside and not given back to nature. These cannot be reused. The mineral cycles will therefore be halted. The future generations will not get the nutrients. Similarly, the biogeochemical cycles will come to an end if the decomposers are not there. The entire earth will get converted into massive heaps of decomposable substances, causing a lot of problems. Okay, now let us see figure 7.4. It shows the energy transfer that takes place at each trophic level. There are different levels of energy exchange in the food chain. The initial quantity of the energy goes on decreasing at every level of energy exchange. Similarly, the number of organisms also decreases from the lowest level to the highest level. This pattern of energy exchange in an ecosystem is called as the energy pyramid. So please mark the definition of energy pyramid. Now, after the death of the apex consumers, their energy becomes available to the decomposers. Fungi and other microorganisms decompose the bodies of the dead animals. They are called as the decomposers. In the process of obtaining food from the remains of organisms, decomposers convert them into simple carbon compounds. These substances easily mix with air, water and soil, from where they are again absorbed by the plants and incorporated into the food chain. Now you can see that due to the food web formed by the various modes of nutrition, energy and various nutrients circulate continuously in the ecosystem. The sun is the most important source of energy in an ecosystem. Green plants of the ecosystem store some of the solar energy in the form of food. Before reaching the decomposers, this energy is passed on from one trophic level to the next. Decomposers dissipate, means give out some energy in the form of heat. However, no part of the energy ever returns to the sun. Hence, such passage of energy is referred to as one-way transport or unidirectional, we call it. Now, let us see the pyramid here. At the base of the pyramid, we have the phytoplanktons, that is phyto means plants. They have 10,000 kilocalories of energy, which is passed on to the zooplanktons. 10% of it, that is 1,000 calories. Next level are the fishes, where there are 100 kilocalories of energy. And last level is humans, who have 10 kilocalories of energy. Now, let us see what are the different institutes at work. The Indian Institute of Ecology and Environment, Delhi, was established in 1980 and is involved mainly in research, training and arranging workshops and seminars. This institute has published the International Encyclopedia of Ecology and Environment. Now, use your brain power. Let us see what is given there. Why are the number of tertiary consumers, that is apex carnivores, always less than those of the other carnivores or consumers. The consumers on the lower trophic levels should always be more to feed than the consumers on the upper trophic level. Prey should always be more in number than the number of predators. Then only the ecosystem can remain in balance. The apex consumers are therefore always less in numbers. So here you can see that I have explained to you the different concepts. Now let us see in this slide here. There's one more energy pyramid, you can say. Here you can see the phytoplanktons again, similar to the one which we have seen in figure 7.4. They are called as primary producers, that is PP. Next are the zooplanktons, PC, primary consumers, SC, secondary consumers, the fishes, and TC are the tertiary consumers. So they have energy of 10,000 joules, 1000 joules, 100 joules, and 10 joules. So I hope children you have understood the various concepts. So in the next lecture, we'll continue the next topic. Thank you.